Hi, I'm Professor Danny Sampson.
And I'm Professor Mike Dreger.
And this is HIST2F90, and this is an introductory video to your course. We'll be spending the next year together talking about some major themes in the history of the Atlantic world. Our course is called Money and Power in the Atlantic World, and we cover, frankly, a huge set of topics, an amazing set of topics. We're going to broadly look at the period roughly 1450 to 1850. Ish. And we're going to look at European expansion into the New World and as a kind of primary trajectory, primary movement for the course. But we'll also be looking at European expansion and trade development in Africa, the emergence of the slave trade, the emergence of major stories like capitalism, like liberalism, the development of the slave trade from a relatively small thing to a huge thing, the role that'll play in the economy and the development of the North American colonies. Big questions that cover an awful lot of ground. We'll be looking at classic themes, but I think looking at them in new and interesting ways, and we'll certainly be asking you to ask a lot of questions yourself about things that maybe you thought you knew a lot about or something about. But this will offer you some opportunities to ask some new questions about those big topics.
And I can just add that this task that we're asking the students to do are tasks that we find challenging ourselves. Not that these are impossible questions for students. In fact, we have one big question for the course. What are the major factors that led to the rise of the liberal capitalistic West? It's a question for which there is no absolute answer, but we want each of the students to try to come up with her or his own answer based on the reading, the thinking, the working with sources in this course.
Exactly.
So it's a big topic with big challenges, but there's one key question to think about throughout the whole course.
And remember today that question will show up again on your exam. You'll have a take-home exam at the end of this course, and that's basically what the question is, asking you to explain as best you can from this big full course perspective what you learned about explaining and understanding the rise of liberal capitalist modernity in the Western world in this time period, which is really a kind of big story about who we are in the liberal capitalist West today.
In Canada, in the United States, in Western Europe.
Exactly.
Now, that's one of the unique features of this course, this question, and all the smaller questions that are related to it. There's another thing or two that are, of course, significant and unique about this course, at least for the history department at Brock University. This is the first fully online course that we offer. There is an element of the course that's available as a textbook online, and that is open up to everyone who can read the web, who has a computer. You all need a computer to see this video. You already have one, and to use the resources in the course. So you're going to be going to the ebook for this course for 2F90. That's a key element that you're going to be working with every week. And another key element is the university Sakai site, Brock University's special password-protected resources online, and that'll give you access, the Sakai site, to particular the readings,
resources, the assignments, the basic things that we'll be doing day to day in the course.
And that includes links to a forum discussion, to quizzes, to assignments, and so on. Because this is a fully online course, each of you, the students, will have more flexibility, and that's a real advantage, we think. It means that if you have to travel for a week for work or for family reasons, or even for a little bit longer, you can still keep up with the course. So there's flexibility on the one hand, but there's also a greater responsibility. We do not meet in person from week to week. We'd love to get to know you if you are on campus. Come to set up an appointment with us to introduce yourselves. We would love that.
Sure.
But what you have to do in week-to-week work is spend time, several times a week, keeping up with the weekly assignments. This course is not a course that you can do whenever you want. You have time within any given calendar week to work on readings around the breakfast table or at work or at the university, wherever, but you have to do it several times a week. Regular work several times a week is the secret to success in this course. It's really a requirement as well, because we all have to work together to learn from one another in discussions online.
Which is really the same as you would be doing in any course, except now it's entirely up to you to do the readings, to do the, you don't go to a lecture, you read the textbook. But you have to do that, whereas in a lecture you just show up and listen. But in terms of time spent and energy put into it, it's roughly equivalent, but it's very much on your shoulders to pull it all off.
I should say a few things about the structure of the course, not just how it's organized between our ebook and Sakai, but also big questions and little questions.
So we said there's a big question for the entire course. Each week, when you open up your textbook, you'll see there's a big question for that week as well. And then you'll see that there's a series of smaller questions. And really, in terms of generating discussion in the forum, you should be thinking about that big question all the time, but at the same time, looking for ways that those smaller questions can help you think about that bigger question. So making those kinds of connections will be really important to successful and effective contributions in the forum, which are really the heart of the course. In the same way that a seminar is the heart of most courses in a history program, certainly here at Brock anyhow, the forum is the heart of this course, and that's where most of your learning will certainly be taking place.
Yeah. Just a few small notes about the forum structures. Each of you will be assigned a forum group, and in the forum group, you'll also be divided into two groups. And those two, that group that you're in as part of your forum will help structure the schedule for your posts to the forum. You'll learn more about that in a separate introduction to the forum and assignments. So pay attention to the organization of the forums, and plan time for every week to post yourself, usually a couple of times, maybe even more, and read other people's forums. Those are important notes.
Thinking of this as a discussion is important. Replying, engaging with your fellow classmates. This is really, really important to making these conversations work.
And we'll be paying attention, of course, to the forums. So we'll help you out, but really you should be learning from one another in your fellow students. So another thing about the structure of the course that we're going to be emphasizing from week to week, and that every student will get to know more about, is the toolbox. It's a part of our online textbook that we place a great deal of emphasis on, because in the toolbox you'll learn about skills that you can use and apply, not just in this history course, but in any history course, and really, we think, in lots of other kinds of activities, other university settings, and even, well, reading a newspaper effectively, or in work life.
Getting through life.
Working with sources. That's part of what we have to do all the time. We've got evidence coming in from government agencies, or from relatives, or from
TV news.
TV news. The toolbox will help you learn to effectively use sources. And then finally, this course has an overall structure to all the assignments. They're connected. We're going to tell you more about that in another video and in the materials online in the course. But we start off with remind me where we start off?
Start off with a transcription assignment.
We start off with a transcription assignment. And it's good just to pause and highlight that, because it's a unique kind of exercise that, well, we think is a great way to practice reading. It's slow reading. It's close reading. It is a chance for you to dig into, well, we'll tell you what type of sources later on, but you have to really pay attention, not just to words, but even to letters sometimes. And that assignment is going to be related to further assignments, also related to different kinds of reading, distant reading, using computers to read large texts. If this sounds mysterious right now, pay attention. We'll provide you with more details in the coming days and weeks.
No, I think the important consideration right now is, for you, is just to know that the assignments are connected.
Yes.
That they build on one another, that it's a series of steps, and it's very much related to thinking like an historian. Thinking like an historian uses sources and different approaches to sources, different questions to ask about sources, and so on. But just know that you're going to do one thing, and that's going to build on something else, and we'll go from there. But we'll explain that in much greater detail later.
And by the end of this step-by-step process, you'll be prepared to answer the big question for yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that covers the basic terrain.
I think so too. I think we're ready to get started, but
It's a full year course. We're in for a long ride. I think you'll learn a lot. It'll be fun.